Well, once you hit it, you'll see the slide.
All
right, go ahead.
You're not a professional.
Okay, thank you for all being here today. In September of 2000, world leaders came together in New York City, the headquarters of the United Nations, and after 3 days of meetings, they adopted the United Nations Millennium Declaration. This declaration was committing nations to work together as a global partnership with 8 goals in mind. The goals that were known as the Millennium Development Goals. Highlights of this 9-page document included
You push down on the,
human dignity, equality, equity, and to establish peace all over the world. The 8 goals consisted of number 1 was to eradicate extreme poverty and hunger. Number 2 was to achieve universal primary education. Number 3 was to promote gender equality and empower women. Number 4 was to reduce child mortality. Number 5 was to improve maternal health. Number 6 was to combat HIV, AIDS, malaria, and other diseases. Number 7 was to ensure environmental sustainability. And number 8 was to further develop a global partnership. So, in this 9-page document, it focused on 6 things that they wanted to be at the basis of all these goals. And the point was that the children are our future and that we need to have our world prepared for them as they grow up. The 6 areas that it focused on was freedom. Freedom for all men, the right to live their lives, freedom from fear, freedom from violence, freedom from oppression, injustice, and freedom of hunger. The next was equality, equality among all people, regardless of gender, race, or culture. Solidarity was another focus, with the basic principles of equity and social justice. They wanted those who suffer least to benefit from those who have the most. And the tolerance for belief, culture, and language. To respect nature and to be able to use our resources to the best of our ability, and to share this responsibility as a global people. The target for number 1, each goal was further broken down into targets that could be measured. And all these goals had a deadline date of 2015, which is fast approaching. So the target in 1A was to make sure that we decrease the people who had an income of less than $1.25 a day. The next part of that target was to make sure that everyone had full and productive work. Another target of goal 1 was to halve the number of people in the world who were suffering from hunger. In category 2, they wanted to ensure that everyone, everywhere, would be able to get primary schooling. Target 3 was to eliminate the gender disparity, and especially where education is concerned, they wanted access to it for boys and girls. Further, they wanted to reduce the under 5 mortality rate, and this was directly affected as well by the maternal mortality rate. They found a great correlation. They also wanted to supply access to reproductive health alternatives, and they want to reverse the spread of HIV and AIDS. The other thing that they wanted to do was give access to treatment to everyone who would need it. Now, another goal was to reduce the incidence of malaria and other diseases. And there are statistics that show that this has been greatly reduced already. So great progress has been made in this area with use of bed nets, very cost-effective and inexpensive bed nets. Goal 7 was trying to make sure that we took care of our environmental resources. And another part of Goal 7 was to make sure that we had a significant reduction in the rate of loss, dealing with some of our biodiversities. Another focus was to make sure that everyone had access to safe and sustainable water and sanitation. And the goal 8 was that we're all working together to achieve these goals, to accomplish all these. So they wanted to further talk about the business aspect and financial aspect to make sure that we have fair trading and financial system. Again, we're working together on that. And we want to address the special needs of the least developed countries. That was the main focus of this. There's landlocked developing countries, there's small island developing states, and going back to one of my previous comments, it was that those of us that have give to those that have not. We need to deal comprehensively with the debt problems. And as we actually invest in that and invest in the future of these other people, it will in turn reward all of us. So they were working together. They wanted to work together with pharmaceutical companies to combat things like malaria and measles. And measles has dropped 94% since 1980 by providing accessible immunizations to these countries. And there's many groups that go over and help these countries to achieve this goal. They also want to utilize people in the private sector and the business world. Utilize things like technology, information, and communications, because they found that by doing this that children can learn and in turn even teach their parents, and they teach in the village, and it's just a great ripple effect. 1978, the First Presidency of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints had made a statement about protecting their own children through immunizations. This was almost 40 years ago. They knew the importance of that. And there's many immunization campaigns throughout the world, and many nonprofit organizations and charities contribute to this.
Somebody push the button in this room.
If successful, it will end up much needless suffering and erase the potential threat of epidemics. And that the efforts here deserve our full support. So what are our moral obligations in these causes? And what resources do we have to offer? Can we offer our time? Can we offer our money? This is a little poster here about teamwork and how sometimes when we have a situation that might not seem doable, as we all work together, we can achieve great things. And so my goal is to encourage the rest of us to make some sort of a difference. And the basis of that, I found, with all these things is education. Education is at the root of all these problems. And if we can educate the children, it will affect families. And you're not educating just one, it is a ripple effect. And thank you for listening.
Yay.